Hey people, welcome back for another episode of The Jagged Edge.
We're back.
And this time with 30% more sparkles?
Sparkles. Yep. Be careful with the sparkles, though.
Yeah, you don't want to whiff, inhale that stuff too much, man.
That was bad. If you want to know what we're talking about there, we just finished up our Thor Ragnarok spoilers and non-spoilers review, talking about some sparkles there. But yeah, we're back. We missed a week.
Yeah.
This guy had you went and got married.
Yeah, married life has changed everything. I am going to go ahead and say, yeah, recording just doesn't work from here on out. And that's it.
Yeah, nope. This is the last episode. The old ball and chains on him now.
It's already heavy.
No, a friend of yours got married, and so you were just like, hey, I'm out.
Yep, buddy of mine,
Did
Illinois.
Did you have a good Halloween?
I did. Not a whole lot special happened around my place. I mean, look, not even little kids came around. In fact, little kids would probably get scared if they try to come out here because it's kind of out there, man.
Yeah, you're kind of out in the country, right?
I am. But no, it was still a fun day. People went more ham about it at work, honestly, more than anything. I kind of felt my Halloween was sort of pre-celebrated, as weird as that sounds, because when I was up in Illinois, they had everything up already. Everybody had all this candy and stuff out, so
Was that wedding a Halloween themed or anything like that, or was it just a traditional?
It was pretty traditional. Like they fall themed everything, but like everybody's house I was stopping through, like somebody had like a huge bowl of candy out, or something else. So it was Halloween everywhere I turned. But no, it was a good trip. I drove around, man, a lot of Illinois while I was there, just getting everywhere I needed to. I think between like Springfield, Danville, Homer, Eureka, Peoria area, like kind of all around. But
and there is a lot of Illinois to drive through too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, one of our biggest states, and it is boring, boring AF.
Do you like corn? Do you like factories? Fields?
Yeah.
It's all there.
That's in the very, they call it, people from Illinois Flatlanders for a reason. Now,
Yeah.
I am from Wisconsin, so, and to this day, people just like, damn Flatlanders. What do you guys call Wisconsin people?
Usually I always hear cheeseheads.
Cheeseheads, that's right. But we like that. So that's
You don't mind. It's
like that's right. Then you'll have to hear about fire for 20 minutes. But yeah. So we had Halloween, and you told me that you did watch Cloverfield.
Yes, I
Didn't
did.
quite have the sack to watch the thing.
Like you said, you gave me that scene before I left. You're like,
the dog scene. I texted him the dog scene at the beginning, and I told you have your barf bag.
Yeah, get your barf. It's like, oh my god, like it's like what I used to watch the old like live action Guyvers, just like times 3. So they had some freaky stuff like that. But
so great! Just old school great.
It is.
Great. I watched it again. Actually, the one I didn't watch was Cloverfield. I was thinking I was going to go watch it again, but no, I watched the thing again. I also I watched Planet Terror again. Have you seen that part of the Grindhouse?
No.
Double feature Planet Terror from it's not Tarantino did the other one that was part of that Grindhouse double feature, but Rose McGowan is in it, and it's a horrible mess. It's so great. It's so nasty. And I watched all kinds of nasty Halloween movies, none of which I can really remember anymore at this point. But Halloween was good. Lots of scary stuff. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Man,
And when I say that, I let me amend that by saying, what's the favorite kind of candy that you liked the most when you went trick or treating, or maybe stuff that you only see this time of year?
Man, it was all about the different flavors of Nerds for me.
Really?
When I was trick or treating, I used to love, and I know they seem like, it's like dime a dozen. There's so many, but man, they even got new ones today that I hadn't seen. They got this mango chili, not chili as in like it's disgusting.
Mango chili.
No, it's disgusting. I'm backing off that. Hold on. It's like mango spice or whatever I think is what it's called, but it's got like just a tiny bit of like just a kick to it, but it's mostly got a obviously a huge mango taste to it. It's delicious. I loved it. And I always loved those little packs of Nerds because I at least take 3 aside, 3 different flavors. Now I never went like really hard in those things, like lined up like 6, 7, 9 packs in a row, but I always liked having like at least just 3. Like 3 different flavors. Then I'm on to my Twix. Then I'm on to my Butterfinger. Probably Twix at number 2. But
yeah, I'm trying. I think for me, Reese's peanut butter cups.
fair enough.
Yeah, the 1-pack ones that you'd get. Those are probably Nerds are always up there. It was always fun because you'd get back with your stash, and then you'd always have the boxes of Nerds, and they'd be different. You could stack those up, and like, there's my Nerds. That's for recess. And then I only had some Smarties this year.
Yeah,
that's all right. Smarties though, that's a go-to candy for Halloween.
it's a classic.
Yeah,
It's a classic.
stuff. So we missed a week.
Yep.
And so I don't think we're going to be able to get to everything, but we have a lot to go through for sure.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to get us going?
Yeah, I'll get kicked off. Even every week off, the news never stops. So right at the top of the list is the X-23 spin-off movie.
There you go.
This note was from the Logan director, James Mangold. Says that the script is currently being written. He credits the success of Wonder Woman as proof that a female antagonist superhero movie can be just as successful as any others.
Yeah,
man.
I don't think they needed Wonder Woman for that, but I guess you can't, at the same time, you can't. I guess for producers, you can't blame them for wanting to see that first.
No. I mean, very true. It's funny too when you think about it. It's not like Marvel has its shortage of really prominent female characters, powerful female protagonists, and all. I mean,
are you sure? Because I might actually make the case that they do have a shortage.
Well, overall, but you could talk about that with DC too.
Yeah, no, you could talk about that in general. There's definitely a lot less than males for sure. But if we're talking MCU, they're just now finally coming out with Captain Marvel, which is they're going to be their first leading role for that. And they haven't had a lot of them. I mean, right off the top of my head, I can think of Black Widow and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
What am I missing though?
I mean, as far as I think there's just a lot that aren't covered. Remember back in X-Men Apocalypse, how despite how apocalyptic it was, I know a lot of people had no idea who Psylocke was. Even.
Oh, you know what?
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough. I guess Psylocke's to quote unquote be to count as a main headliner, right?
Yeah.
Who took over Thor for a while? Who was that again?
It's Jane Foster.
That's right.
It's Jane Foster, which you're not gonna see because I guess a minor spoiler, kind of not really. They mentioned in Thor Ragnarok how they broke up.
Yeah.
So I guess Jane Foster's not. Natalie Portman parted ways with MCU a few years ago.
Right.
But before Age of Ultron, I believe, saying that she had regretted doing the movies, which is crazy. But I'm
shocked to hear that. Seriously?
Yeah. That and she railed against Star Wars a bit too, the prequels.
What the heck?
I don't know. But yeah, so I don't think we're going to see Jane Foster Thor anytime soon. Besides that, they've done no establishment at all that at least in the MCU that Mjolnir was responsible for Thor's power.
Right.
Whereas in the comics, it's obviously got a different origin to it. But there has not been a lot in MCU. Well, they've got Captain Marvel coming out, but in the land of dead X-Men.
Yeah,
X-23 is Queen.
See, and this is interesting too. That this whole initiative is hailing from X-Men. A lot of the main female protagonists that I've seen have been from X-Men at some point or another, or some timeline, or some comic, or something else. And I mean, there's others that don't get coverage. I mean, that you just really wouldn't have a whole lot of an idea about. I mean, for example, like Callisto. I mean,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, like I can't blame you. Like really off, obscure character again that I just heard about through whole Mutant Revolution and X-Men stuff. Like I can keep going on. Cat's Eye. Like there's another one called the Baroness. Just a lot of just sort of offshoot characters that never appeared alongside the big names like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk. Like when you look at Marvel comics, like that instant recognition. You never had these characters alongside them off. So
if we're talking Marvel Comics, if I'm talking about Marvel Comics female characters, powerful female characters, I think the first one that comes to mind to me for me again is a mutant, Emma Frost.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Sometimes hero, sometimes villain, always badass.
she's no joke.
Who we've seen in two different iterations in the same Marvel or in the same X-Men universe. We've seen them twice. You know, my initial thought on this X-23 spinoff was like, you know what? They're in a world here where they can do basically whatever they want because they've got all these new superhero kids or mutant kids, and they're in Canada and maybe an Alpha Flight thing. But then I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I talking about? They always do whatever the hell they want in this universe.
Yep.
And there's no better example than two different Emma Frosts. One of which comes from the 60s and is older than the version that you saw in the 80s. Oh wait, no, is that 70? I think it's 79 for Wolverine. For the Wolverine.
Oh. No, that's crazy.
All right,
dude.
Fox.
You know, we were talking about this at the end of Logan. That, you know, hey, all right, we get it. Mutants are dead for the most part. Just leave this alone. Let this timeline die.
Yeah, I agree, but I like the idea of this overall.
Yeah.
I like X-23. I think she's a great character.
Oh yeah.
I don't. Here's the thing. She's got a really messed up past.
Yes.
I don't know how much of that we'll see. I mean, she's 12?
Yeah.
In Logan, so they can insert whatever they want basically into this. So the biggest question is for me, are we going to get kid X-23 or are we going to get a grown up X-23?
Right.
And just as important to me though, is it going to be an R rating?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
If you're going off of the similar momentum from Logan, if you want to continue telling the story along this timeline, I think talking about that, it's very difficult to do, especially either someone with an adamantium skeleton related to Wolverine, his power set in any way, without having something pretty darn violent. Logan obviously took that, you know, to another another level. But in the same hand, I think that largely depends on what world they're going to put X-23 in. Have things gotten worse? Has anything improved at all? Is how distant is she from the whole struggle, you know, regarding, you know, mutants and everything? I think it really depends. If that world is as hostile as what we saw there, I think it would fully warrant an R rating. If they want to back off it. No, if they want to back off it a bit, I could see different. But I mean, likely.
I think it's the perspective. If you're coming from a mutant perspective, it's basically the apocalypse is over.
Right.
You know, not to use a pun as far as the character Apocalypse, but the mutants are done.
Right.
They've been banned in America, and they're outlawed, and they've all died. And what few, I mean, that's the whole story. What few that are left are going to Canada and hiding there. And I don't think they specify if there's a worldwide outlaw of mutants, but you know what's happening in the U.S. But when you look at some of the areas around the U.S., like when they stop at that gas station, the world's fine.
Yep.
It's just mutants that have it really bad. So they can basically do whatever they want, and knowing Fox, they absolutely will. But I think it's just stay in R rating. I like the feel of what they did, because that was definitely one of the things that was really good about that movie, is that this is coming from the mutants' perspective. This is definitely a post-apocalyptic world for them,
right?
And everything that's happened. And I think it would be interesting to see, you know, because they did obviously spoilers. They did obviously get to Canada. They got away, and what do they do from there? What happens from there? So I think it's interesting. I would like to see an adult perspective, maybe even continue to use use the actress from Logan, and maybe do some flashbacks. But I would like to see this from an adult perspective. I'd like to see an all grown up X-23 establish her world.
Yep.
A bit. But I'm for it. You know, they're doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
They've taken continuity, they've thrown it out the window. I've accepted that.
Yeah.
So I come from that perspective now, because it's such a mess. So, but we're talking about something that at least this is at the end of everything else. So we're looking at something different here. And I don't care about the world that they're coming from. That's done as far as I'm concerned. But I could see some cool stuff happening. Hey, have you been keeping up with The Gifted at all?
Cool. No, I have not.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I didn't really bother tracking. I don't know if there's anything big happening. Who knows? This might be one of those where I tune back in the season finale.
But you are going to watch Legion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I definitely enjoyed the first season of that. I want to see where that goes a bit more.
I have not been keeping up with The Gifted or Star Trek, which I'm hearing good things about Star Trek, but Discovery. I have, and don't ask me why, I have been keeping up with Inhumans.
What?
I think it's there's only 8 episodes. So there's not much to track, and I think there's only 2 left. For me, I think it's just like, let's see what horrible garbage they do next. I've been keeping up with Inhumans a little bit. Plus, part of it is I do really enjoy keeping up with the MCU. I've not missed anything. This show has had it's had some glimmers of some sparkles, so to speak, of some good stuff. But for the most part, this show is horrible.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. I think now when I say I'm keeping up with Inhumans, I say that I'm watching this while I'm like doing laundry or cleaning.
Okay, you're not. I mean, you're not actually like
I'm
focusing
not sitting
on this
in front of the TV, full focus on this show. I'd go blind from that. But so I could have missed it. But one thing I freaked out about was, you have Medusa and you have her younger sister, right?
Right.
I forget her name, the blonde one with the dog.
I'm with you.
And it's my understanding they have not seen each other since the overthrow that Maximus has done. And that better not be the case, because they finally met up in an episode and they didn't even acknowledge that Medusa is practically shaved bald. Her sister, if that is the first time they've actually seen each other, I mean, that's just such a horrible oversight of the show. Maybe I know they spoke with each other. They communicated with each other, but I don't think there was visuals to that. I don't remember. But if that is the case, and the whole fact that I wouldn't even question that is just like, I could totally see them making this humongous error and just having these two sisters meet, and then them not even commenting on the fact that she's been shaved.
Why would you not say anything about that?
It's ridiculous. Show is so bad. It's so bad.
It's like,
but even if they had seen each other like through communications or whatever, the fact that you wouldn't even give your sister like at least show empathy towards the fact that her frickin' inhuman power was literally cut from her, off her body. It's just, the show's just so bad.
Never mind. What's for lunch?
I really hope Marvel does not save this one.
No. We're putting on the back burner.
Yuck.
Well, something not worth putting on the back burner, let's put on the afterburners for thinking about Star Wars. And that is not just Star Wars coming out in December. It's a little more news about the Han Solo anthology movie. This finally got a name.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
The name for this is, drumroll?
Well, brace yourself.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
I'm surprised. Ron Howard did a whole little, did you see this? He did a whole little video with it too. He's like, I guess we haven't told you the name yet. And he holds a card that just says Solo. Really?
Ron
Howard is, it's my understanding he's done a lot for this though.
Yeah. I mean, well, I was expecting Jabba the Hutt, but it's the title, but never mind.
I think we're going to see Jabba the Hutt, but we are going to see Darth Vader again.
I'm
not sure how that fits in, But
Weird.
I'm okay with it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because I can appreciate the fact that the original directors were going so off of the path they wanted them to take this movie that with it nearly done with production, they fired him and brought in Ron Howard, who it was recently discussed from an inside source from Star Wars Newsnet that he has done upwards to 80% of this movie has been redone.
Wow.
That's a lot of movie. He was originally coming in to finish up 3 weeks of production.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna ask when he actually stepped in on all this to.
About 4 months ago.
Golly.
Yeah, they're just wrapping up. They're going to be done soon.
That's insane.
But they're still going to make it. They haven't changed the date yet. Still saying May 25th.
Holy crap.
About half a year, 7 months away. So maybe there's not a lot of special effects in the Star Wars movie.
Maybe not. That is a breakneck pace, especially for all the reshoots. Wow.
I know, that's crazy. That's crazy.
May
Now,
25th.
Ron Howard's as solid of a producer. I was going to say producer, director as you get, though. I mean, you see a Ron Howard movie, you're like, you know what? That's fine. Either you loved it or it's like that was fine. That was okay. So I'm all right with this. Maybe it ends up being fantastic though. But this, the whole time, this whole freaking movie since they've announced it has been kind of like, yeah, don't fuck this up. And that's where we still sit in the same spot. Just
Boy,
don't
oh
mess
boy.
this up.
Just keep the plane even. I don't want you to go. You don't have to go beyond the clouds. Just keep it on the level. Wow.
Don't screw this up. But
We'll
maybe
see.
it ends up being great.
Good.
Yeah, we'll see.
With such a rush shooting, it takes me back to the original Star Wars real fast. George Lucas always talked about the struggles he ran through that first movie, the budget constraints, and really having to improv so many aspects of that to really get a finished piece out. But they did. He had a lot of uphill factors he was working against, but it was a wild success. So,
Obviously.
maybe we'll see it again. Cool.
We'll see.
All right, it's on to gaming for us. There's an event. Big event going on right now this weekend. That is
an event.
am I hearing a jaded WoW player?
No, I'm not a jaded
All right.
ex-WoW player, but let me rephrase. If you love Blizzard stuff, if you're currently a fan of Blizzard stuff, then I suppose it's a big event.
Yeah.
If you're not, then it's an event.
That's BlizzCon going on right now. There's still likely some reveals that are going to be happening over the course of the weekend as things are announced. But so far, we've got some news on Overwatch, the WoW expansion that's for Azeroth, Battle for Azeroth, and also some notes on the Hearthstone expansion. And just going to start at the top with Overwatch. Basically, there's a new map. There's a new hero. It's going to be a hybrid, a DPS healer. And I was always kind of wondering if they were going to introduce that because, Overwatch was always based itself in roles so much. It never jumped outside of that besides what a player would actually do themselves. But anyway, that DPS healer is named Moria, and it's supposed to have some connection with the Reaper's past. By the way, can I just comment how weird it is? I see Overwatch as such like a static shooter, but I know, just like Blizz always does, there's always a storyline, there's something interconnected and tied. I just have such a hard time basing that for Overwatch. It's weird. I'm like, I don't need that. Oh well. I'm probably alone in that. There is a new animation for I actually haven't watched it on YouTube myself, but they posted up about Reinhardt. If you're a big fan of tanks, go check that out. And
That's who I used whenever I played that, which is not much, but
right.
I used a lot of Reinhardt. He was fun.
Oh, he's awesome. You get the big old hammer. Love it. And some new skins for that. The one that I did want to talk to you about a bit, Chris, was the expansion for WoW. It's Battle for Azeroth, and this whole play of alliances. You talked to me a little bit about that before the show, about how they're getting that set up. For a lot of years, there were a lot of players who wanted to look at that concept of like cross factioning.
Yeah, and you're still not getting it.
Yeah, not happening.
No, but they are adding in some new races, which you can unlock. This is what is this? Just new. Yeah, what do they call it?
The
Battle factions.
yeah.
Wasn't it? something like that. You can unlock some new factions. They're not groundbreaking. They're cool though. Like Alliance is going to get Iron Dwarves and such. You're gonna for Horde you're gonna get the Zandari trolls, and I mean that's neat. They're going to have their own racial abilities and stuff. That's fun. You're going to get some new continents. It's all very. I mean, I don't mean to sound negative. I used to play WoW for about 8 years. I loved it, but I'm over it. I'm past it. So it is all very WoW, and it's if it is more of the same. As far as the kind of content you're going to get some new stuff. They're going to update some old stuff. The story continues. The grind continues. If you're playing WoW, you're going to love this. This is going to be great. I'd look at this and it's like, hey, this is some cool stuff. If I was still playing WoW, I would probably love the shit out of this. Of course, the cinematic trailer that came out was absolutely amazing, as they always are. The race stuff is pretty cool. I was never a big alt guy. I had a couple of them. But, if you're big into alts, then you're absolutely going to love this because you're going to be able to play as 6 new different races because you're going to get 3 new races per faction. So, new raids, dungeons, all that stuff. Go BlizzCon. Like I said, if you are a big fan of a current Blizzard game, then BlizzCon is awesome. If you're not, then hey, that's some stuff that's new and different.
For sure. And then Hearthstone, I never got into this one a whole lot. I do have a couple of friends who are into it, mainly those who played were big into TCGs, like Magic and stuff beforehand. But there's a new single player mode coming out for that called Dungeon Run, I think. And usually it's funny, Hearthstone has a lot of tie-ins with Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm always features things from across all Blizzard franchises, from Diablo and a whole bunch of other cool things. So as far as the cards, I couldn't tell you a whole lot about it because, again, I don't play Hearthstone myself, but there is a bit of a spoiler. If you go out there and look, I know in GameSpot and a few other places talk about at least all the cards from Kobolds and Catacombs expansion. There's a reveal for those if you want to just peel through what's actually available. So,
what the hell is going on behind you?
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah.
It's a random trailer that kicked in.
Oh,
you know when you're sitting on a page and those random ads come up? Yeah, I promise there's not some blaring horn in my room.
As much, but then I could tell that you were noticing it. So I had to, after I think the third time I reacted to it. You said you were just talking about Hearthstone, so whatever.
Not important, right?
So, whatever. Do you know people who play Hearthstone?
I do. I have a couple friends.
Oh, do you? Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't care.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
I know I don't. But I'm like that with all the card games. I'm like that with Pokemon and what's the other one? All of them. Let's just say all of them. The card game stuff. I just meh.
Fair enough.
The closest I ever got to any kind of card games was the WoW card games because they would come out. There were item cards that would come out that would get you in-game items, and so if you got the card, you could type in the code, and maybe you got a new pet or a new mount, or you could get some pet biscuits, which turned your pet huge until you died, stuff like that. Yeah, that was fun. Quick story on that. One of the things I wanted for years and years and years was I wanted the fishing chair. Because you could get a card and then it would give you a chair in game that you could put down anywhere and just you could sit on it, and it was a fishing chair, but it was just really kind of like a lounging chair. And one year for Christmas, my guild got it for me, which was awesome.
Oh.
And so I had my fishing chair, and so whenever we were waiting for guildies or whatever, what you do, as you play an MMO, you do a fair amount of waiting for people.
Oh yes.
Get out the old fishing chair, and I'd sit there and wait. And that was always fun. But that's the extent of my card games for anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Hearthstone.
Yeah, I never got into online card games. I do have a Magic the Gathering background. Played a lot.
Magic the Gathering, that was it.
MTG? Yeah,
I cannot believe how people still go off about that.
It's still a thing, man. Like the events for Magic are still pretty large scale. Like I used to play legacy format, and that's only because I don't like keeping up with every single expansion that comes out and constantly buying a new rotation of cards. It's just I already had a pool, and I like being able to pull from what I had to work with and make a deck. That was fun to me. I had some friends around me that played, so it worked out. But oh well, what are you gonna do?
I think we're gonna move on
To something that's a little I don't know if contentious is the word for this, but
here we go.
Yeah, I think it's one of the main meat and potatoes that we got for this week, because this one really came from left field. We talked a bit about this too in our upcoming games perspective, and just usually when we nerd out about Star Wars, period. But hey, there's been a pretty substantial cancellation for a major Star Wars project that was coming out, and not only a cancellation of the game, the freaking studio itself closed down. The whole thing shut down. This is just a backdrop to this. I mean, EA has a 10-year license still with Disney for creating Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, even though you do have that, this is something that people are really looking forward to, being released, being supported. Also, it's not like you got to B-team developers behind this. I mean, the main dev was actively working on Uncharted. But this whole thing is being turned into something else completely.
Yeah.
And we're not as sure what that's going to be at this time. There's some real shades. I'll talk about this a little later, after we go over some more details of this. But there's some real shades of what's happening with this that happened to Square Enix with FF14. I'm just reminded of that all over again. But anyway, so I mean, hey, looking at this, the whole thing, there's been this big blockbuster Star Wars game that will really just bit dust for anybody who could play it. It never even had an announced name, if I recall, right?
Right, no, it didn't have a name. They showed some footage, I think, in the last year. They showed a little bit of footage of the game, but didn't even have a name.
Right. And yeah, we saw something back in 2016 for it. There's this whole ambitious angle that it's the new story in the Star Wars franchise, and
it didn't have a lot to do with bounty hunters or something like
that. It did, and like I said, they had some of the team from Uncharted working on that. But let's just take a quick look at the actual press release that EA put out for this, and this is from the actual Visceral Game Studio. Quote, to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we need to pivot the design. And I didn't clarify, this is EA's VP. A story-based, he described the game as a story-based linear adventure game. And it also seems like this is going to be a third-person game based on at least what we were seeing from 2016. But it's such a loose statement, when something big like this happens, like or just can a project before it even comes out, normally there's something behind that, or at least a direct vision of, here, we're not doing this, but here's what this is going to be. Or this is what this project is now turning into. I understand from the angle of like quality control, hey, we're not able to deliver the thing we want, so we're pulling this back to... I'll go ahead and put the example of the original FF14. It was a disaster in so many areas, from graphically to being able to... I only say graphically not because it was just totally ugly, but because of how the graphics were actually handled. People had a really sucky time processing everything that was happening. And then the bad connection, and then just the low quality of the game. And Square, they killed it, but they had a whole plan behind it. It wasn't just dead and axed and shrug, we don't know, and then come back to it at another point. Realm Reborn was immediately being worked on. The whole original staff, they were out. New director came in, and the project took a completely different direction, but fans were updated at all points of that. And when it finally did come back, all the stuff that people had, everything they played for in the original servers was there and there were legacy servers set up and things for legacy players. What sucks here, you don't even have that because there was no base game to even base any that off foundationally. So this is a real head scratcher in terms of even like a PR angle. What you exactly what you want this to become, and especially for such a big name like Star Wars. You might have the license and have the freedom to do those games, but I think how you use that in the meantime, that still counts. That really counts for people, especially those who love Star Wars Battlefront and things like that, and really looking forward to this. I mean, we're in Star Wars season, for goodness sake. So next month.
We were probably looking at another year before this game was released, but
yeah.
Okay, so are you done laying the groundwork on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, EA cancels this game, shuts down that studio, and is saying that they're going to reallocate those resources that they decide to keep elsewhere if they can, which doesn't really say anything. And this coincides with the same time as the Battlefront 2 beta and how heavy this is on loot boxes and microtransactions, and a lot of people are getting a feeling that EA is basically saying single player games are for chumps. Well, am I wrong?
No, you're not. I'm just chuckling.
You know, which just before we get into the greater issue here, an absolutely ridiculous statement for them to make. Now, EA obviously focuses on their big money makers are competitive games,
right?
Football games, soccer games. I think baseball too, right? I think they do the
MLB stuff.
Yeah, I think they do the MLBs too.
Yeah.
I don't play any of them. I don't. But I mean, that's their stuff. And I remember far enough back where EA worked their asses off to get where they are with their game series of games for football and stuff. They are the king of the hill for football, and that was not an easy task for them.
Right.
So they get Star Wars, and they're not the only ones. No, actually, I think they are the only ones for Star Wars, aren't they?
I'm pretty sure, man.
Yeah. So here's what bugs me about this. Battlefront 1, the one that came out 2 years ago, did not do nearly as well as it would have if they would have put a single-player campaign in there, which is a lesson that they at least learned enough to put it in Battlefront 2.
Good.
So I don't understand where they're coming from here, because they are basically saying that, you know, we want to make games where people have a repetitive experience. Basically, we want to make games where people will come back and play.
Right.
They're saying, hey, look, we don't want to put the resources into a game like a single player game where people are going to play it and then they're going to be done.
Right.
Well, and the premise at the start of that is wrong.
Right.
It's just wrong. Why don't you make a game that's single player that people will come back and play anyways? Which is why, and there's tons of ways to do that. And it's kind of funny because we both had stuff for this for this week's show. And what I'm going to be bringing up are two prime examples of how you do that coming up after here. But again, I mean, the first Battlefront game didn't do nearly as well as it should have because there was no single player. I didn't buy the first Battlefront game. I am buying Battlefront 2. And the decision maker for that is a single player campaign, which they're not only just putting in, I mean, it's going to be canon. And it's going to rock as far as I can tell, at least as far as being a canonical story, coming from the Empire's perspective at the end of Return of the Jedi. And what happens to the Empire after that. I care a lot about that.
Right.
I'm playing that to start for that. Now, will I play the multiplayer aspects as well? Definitely.
Right.
But I'm not buying this unless that existed. So I don't know what the hell they're doing. Because that's a lesson that I figured they learned. Because that was the single biggest complaint I heard about the first Battlefront game 2 years ago. No single player campaign. A lot of people didn't play it as long as they would have because of that. A lot of people like myself didn't even buy it because of that.
Dang.
So I don't know where EA is coming from on this, except for the numbers, and that's because the numbers for gameplay. You know, you add in the amount of resources that they put in to creating a game,
right,
versus what's selling and how often people are playing a game, and why they're playing it, and then you add in, and this is really where they're coming from. You add in the new factor, the new trend that showed up here in the last few years, the microtransactions that they get from those games.
Yeah, and that's bled a lot.
I think EA said something. Last year they brought in over 300 million from microtransactions.
Wow.
From their games.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. And I don't blame a company for wanting to do what they can with that.
Right.
But to min-max your companies to the point where they've done this, when they have a complete opposite experience where one of their games didn't sell as well as it should have because it didn't have a single player campaign in it. I don't, well, obviously I think you can tell I don't agree with their decision making.
Right.
I don't understand their decision making because it's so obvious in of their own experiences and their own perspective that going so far as to shutting down your studio that focuses on single player games like that, killing a game that's well into production.
Right.
Maybe there's other reasons. I've not heard any that stand up, especially with how they've announced this and how they brought this up themselves. But people are concerned about this in general, not just for even EA, because I'm not concerned about this with EA really.
Right.
But people are wondering if this is going to be a larger trend in gaming as a whole.
Part of this too, when I think about microtransactions too, especially in relation to an area where they're really prominent, mobile games, but looking at how microtrans has been handled in console gaming lately, and not just MMOs, of course. I mean, there's a lot of MMOs that will do microtransactions purely for cosmetics, but others though, microtrans has even moved into providing extra story content. Even, I think back to Capcom years back in Asura's Wrath. If you wanted to get the full ending of that, like if you wanted to play those last few missions out, there was.
What game was that again?
Asura's Wrath.
Yeah, wasn't there a game that somebody came out with where you couldn't even beat it unless you paid for the ending? Is that the one you're talking about?
It wasn't that one. No, you could beat it. You could finish it, but it was just like, hey, there's like literally additional campaign. Like there's extra story to this. I'll be honest, it was worth it. It was well done, and I really enjoyed it. But I'd say a case like that is more the exception than the norm. A lot of these microtransactions, aren't things that I feel are just required to have as, part of your experience, going through that. And it's one thing to leverage it. Obviously, there's a lot of money in it. At the end of the day, a company's going to want to make money. It comes down to dollars and cents. But I think the way to leverage that well while respecting your player base and doing so in a way that content that people would want to pay for or that would be interested in or that adds to the experience rather than just making it a grab. I think that's what starts to make it really effective. It's difficult to see the grounds for that here.
Well, yeah. So I mean, part of the thing again, like I said, this coincided with the Battlefront 2 beta that was going on at the time, and the player community who played the beta railed against the loot box setup that they had showed for this game. So many people pissed that it looked like people were going to be able to just buy their way to the best stuff. Now it's kind of funny. Last show we talked about that a little bit, not knowing that this was happening. I'm fine with people paying for things. At the same time, there should be a limit. I made the comment of, again, I was a WoW player for years. It was all about the grind. You had to grind your way up to the top. You had to grind your way and put in the time and the effort to get into that guild, to get that awesome loot. You had to do it. Now people can buy a lot of stuff too. I don't think you can for WoW, but for games in general, you can get that shortcut and you can buy a lot of these items with cold hard cash, and I'm okay with that. But there should be limitations. Spending the money should only get you so far, and it shouldn't get you the best stuff. There should be a cap on that stuff when it comes to what exactly you get. Some of these things should be grinded for. They should be earned outside of just laying down some cash. And EA has commented on they're like, hey, the way you saw loot boxes work in the beta is not how they're going to work when the game is released, and they'll work a lot better, and there will be caps, and there will have to be a certain amount of grinding that you'll have to do in order to get all this really good stuff, which maybe that was true, maybe it wasn't, but I guess the way that loot boxes have been in the last couple of years, especially in some of the EA games, but a lot of these multiplayers in general, people are really getting pissed.
Yeah, with good reason.
Now, I currently don't play an MMO. You do. You play Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
How is it in there?
Is microtrans, right?
Yeah.
Microtrans is purely for cosmetics. You could do like, for example, if you want to get like a certain dyes for doing for your gear, for your weaponry, seasonal costumes, stuff like that. There's a few mounts if you want to, but like that's it. There's nothing there that would affect gameplay or that you have to have, or it's some special emotes. If that one good thing, if you miss some seasonal events, let's say you really wanted some kind of emote or something, some special amount, you can go back and pay cash for it later, and that's fine. And frankly, I welcome not having microtransaction completely intrude on gameplay to the point where you see a difference between, hey, I shelled out $300 as opposed to someone who didn't. I can respect that.
So what do you think this means for single players? Do you think single player games are going away? Do you think we're seeing the death of single player games?
The handling of this maybe for...
Well, you're actually hesitant.
I am. I can't say that. I'm not comfortable saying that, and I say that because I think what you're seeing is a group, a major company. Don't get me wrong, developer really choosing to really pull their punches and take a strange approach with this. I don't think this speaks yet to the industry as a whole, because I still see there are still some strong single player games out there, and a lot of times, if you're a console gamer, heck, a big reason I pick up consoles is because I'm interested in a lot of the single player games. Heck, right. I know it's probably blasphemy for me even saying this because I haven't finished it. We're gonna be talking about it some more in a minute. I look at games like Last of Us.
Yes,
and
you don't look at it enough.
I know, I don't. I will gladly admit that. But seeing something like this, which is effectively like playing a novel, almost. I mean, is such a powerful story element over, let's say, a multiplayer shooter or like playing Mario Kart or like Super Smash. Like multiplayer has its place. It's fun. There's a lot of good stuff to do with friends, partying, or like tournaments and things like that. But heck, I'll go as far as to say, I don't think I'd be a console gamer, period, without single-player games. There's things I could see in PC, but I wouldn't see the point of owning a PS4 or anything else.
And Last of Us is a really good example, because some people are saying that's one of the best gaming experiences ever.
Right.
Which I would agree. Their single-player campaign for that is insane, but I mean that's a really good example going beyond that too, because there is a multiplayer aspect to that game. There is a PvP aspect to that game that I have not played with much, just a couple times, but to this day I believe is still popular even 4 years out.
Wow.
People still play it, and there's microtransactions for that. You can buy access to certain guns, but a lot of cosmetic stuff, certain clothes, all these things. Nothing, as far as I remember, nothing game breaking, but you can spend literally a couple dollars and get access to this or that. So this is what I don't understand. I mean, here you have Naughty Dog and you have The Last of Us, and they're encompassing all of this stuff.
Right.
Why couldn't EA do that with a Star Wars game?
I think you asked the $20 question of the day.
Which, by the way, my answer to the question is, God, no, single player is not going anywhere.
Right. No. Part of that, I think, is this ties back into the fear, and I like to dub this AAA fear. That is when you have a massive license behind you, and I guess a sense of pressure that comes behind that, not just for development costs, etc., fans and everything, but really trying to keep that brand sustain what you release, and wanting to have that make as much impact, and of course financial impact as possible. There seems to be more panic these days around the really, really, really big titles like that, or those big names that you hear about, getting that to a deliverable where they feel it will be profitable to a really, really high extent. I think that's overemphasized a lot of times, and I've said this a lot. I love seeing developers give us their creative idea and just go with that. Show us your vision. Show us the thing that you're trying to develop and push. That don't It's one thing to listen to an audience. It's very important to tune into the crowd, but to the point where that may completely superimpose over your creative decisions, or it's well, maybe I can make more profit if I just did X or added this random multiplayer thing. Something can fall into place a little later on, but part of it seems to be this nervousness about the brand. I could be wrong. I'm not. It's not like I'm in internal meetings. But.
No, I agree. I think that's where the biggest problem lies for this. I think you've got a mega power in the industry trying to make decisions in a way that the mega power thinks that it should. Trying to make decisions in a way that it can min-max its profits and its resources. When really some of the other companies should probably be like, dude, you need to take a couple steps back.
Yeah, yeah.
And quit thinking you're so freaking huge and gigantic that you need to make decisions like this. That you just like, hey, this studio gone.
Yeah.
This Star Wars title, it's just not going the way that we think. It's just not going the way that hey, we're EA.
Yeah.
And that's not going the way that we like it to. It's gone. It's like, dude, you're the destroyer of worlds over here. What the hell are you doing? How do you take this game that you've been working on? What they showed footage in 2016, which means they've been working on this thing for about 2.5 years now. I'm sure you're not Blizzard, okay?
Right.
Which is they handle things in their own way, but they're not as big as you. They're not EA.
Right.
All right. They're not captain of the football team, literally. So, but you don't need to wipe Star Wars games in production studios out of existence.
No,
you can think in different ways from that, and that's why I think it's bothered a lot of people, is because they buy into the hype of EA doing this.
Right.
It's like, yeah, and that's big because their movers and shakers are, they are out of the giants, they are one of the biggest ones on the block.
Oh yeah.
So. And again, that's not to take Blizzard down either, because Blizzard has spent years and lots of money on games and said, no.
Oh yeah.
StarCraft Ghost. But that was in a different era, and games didn't cost what they cost now.
Exactly.
This is just, but ultimately, this is just dumb. And it's like, take a couple steps back, think about what you're doing, and when you realize it's dumb, come on back. We can have a talk. Because how do you obliterate this game in this studio? How do you do that?
I think the dotting the I to this, it's just I think corporate detachment at its finest.
Exactly. This is single player games aren't going anywhere.
No.
I've been a huge multiplayer fan forever. I played World of Warcraft for 8 years. All right, I'm all about the multiplayer experience. I've done it in aspects, and that just trust me. I know about multiplayer, but I love a single player campaign. I love a single player game, and what I love more about them is when they have an option to play online too, which is going to be a smaller part of that game. I played the Unreal Tournament games. Those were all multiplayer, just like Battlefront was. But for me, it's not enough now. It's not enough anymore. And so again, looking at other games like Mortal Kombat X had a huge single player campaign, huge story mode. Played a lot of that online too. Would I play Mortal Kombat if it didn't have a story mode? No, the expectation is, hey, you're going to give me some story, and it's going to kind of suck, and it's going to be hokey, but actually it was really good. But this whole thing is just dumb. Single player is not going anywhere. Multiplayer is not going anywhere. They're going to find ways to get your microtransactions into single player games. They're already doing it. But you see these decisions like this, like what EA did, and who was it? I forget the name of the company, but Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. What was that? Rare? Was it?
Is it whatever?
Yeah.
But they come out with. Can you hear the dog?
A little bit. It's okay. You heard a really obnoxious trailer that blew over my mic, so it didn't, whatever.
But they came out with Killer Instinct for Xbox One, and it had one when you get one character, you had to buy all, you had to buy all the rest.
Yeah, good example.
So yeah, so don't buy the hype so much. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
But at the same time, EA needs to freaking check itself here a little bit. You're a giant, but
I agree.
You're not so world ending that you need to make these kind of decisions.
Agreed. We'll see. We'll follow. We'll see where some of this goes, if it goes.
It's gone.
Well, I mean, wherever it's going to become next.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that game and that.
Yeah. No, forget that. No, whatever this Star Wars thing is going to be, because it's a thing, and you can't let it go for nothing.
Yeah, they're dumb.
All right.
I should have just said that instead of 10 minutes. I just said they're dumb.
End of story. 2 other pieces of gaming news we got. We get to one of which is something we just mentioned a second ago. Unfortunately, there weren't any huge spoilers in this, so I can watch this. I would say
right.
That is The Last of Us Part 2 trailer.
Yep.
This is getting a lot of reactions, especially some shock over the amount of violence.
Which is stupid.
This trailer, I agree. From everything I'm seeing and the little I have seen thus far, that fits this world. Awesome
trailer. Fantastic trailer.
I obviously can't speak to all the rest of the end events and everything else that went on in the first, but apparently there's a little bit of distortion here. Some people are confused exactly what this is.
Yeah, I mean, again, I played the first one, love it. It's one of my favorite gaming experiences ever. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
Outside of what's plainly going on in front of you.
Right.
As far as how this inserts itself in the story for the sequel, I have no idea. Some people are guessing that the woman that is being hung is Ellie's mother, but it is pure conjecture.
Yeah.
Nobody knows except for Naughty Dog.
Wild.
And they're not saying.
But
it's great because now what is awesome about it is that this really takes you back into this world.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about how this game's going to feel, this trailer says you don't have to worry about that.
in spades. I just think especially with how cinematic this is based. If anything, I never cease to be amazed. I can't help but look at that and just think, it's just a random single player game I pick up. I feel like you're picking up a book, playing it. Yeah. So, looks amazing. And,
which, by the way, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. And I was saying, and honestly, the whole violence part, that's not I did not have a gripe about that. But.
So just so everyone knows, because part of my notes here was how can Ian possibly justify not finishing The Last of Us yet? He said 2 things. Marvel vs. Capcom, or wait, no, it was Tekken. So it's not even as good as Marvel vs. Capcom. And Sonic.
Hey, mastering EWGF takes time, my friend. Because I can't perform it yet. That's Electric Wind Godfist, people. I consider myself a wannabe Mishima player, even though I played Gen since Tekken 3. I have not mastered on-demand Electric Wind Godfist. That takes time.
Oh my god! If you've played The Last of Us just like I have, could you please put a comment below on just telling Ian what a horrible decision he's making, doing something Electric Godfist instead of playing The Last of Us. Just back me up on this because he's not getting it yet, and the only reason he has the game is because they gave it to him for Christmas last year.
It's true.
But he has started playing it. You're a few hours in?
Yep.
You need to play more.
My man.
My man.
Yeah. Oh, golly. Fair enough. The last piece was actually, I hadn't looked at these till you tossed them over at me. I heard about them, but Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh my gosh.
A couple of trailers here. Showing off some latest gameplay. The latest version is set to come out on 2/6/2018.
So close. I didn't know that. I think that's when I haven't been following this one since they announced it at E3.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was coming out next year. I didn't think it was coming out so soon.
Right.
I will definitely be doing a review of that. It just looks beautiful. Just beautiful. I mean, back when they made single player games, because they don't make them anymore now. I mean,
it's over. It's all multiplayer.
Yeah, there's no profit in it. Nobody plays them.
Nope.
No, this is so good, so beautiful. I'm a shrill for this game. So good. Oh, I can't wait. I hope, and I have not. Maybe there's word out there. I haven't been doing the researching I normally do. Hoping that they put in some new Colossus or Colossi. I think it is Colossi. Some new monsters. We got 12, and there was 12 to hit the cutting room floor. In fact, there was even some more that was early pre-production. But there's a lot of them we didn't get. There were 6 that were pretty much finished that we didn't get. Gosh, I hope we get some new ones. And I don't care if they're microtransactions. Make me pay a couple bucks for each one. I will gladly do so, along with a pint of blood. And so on. Now you played Shadow of the Colossus. Did you finish Shadow of the Colossus?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a good friend of mine back when I was living up in Illinois who actually introduced me to that, and I went through it after watching him play through it.
I will give you two pints of Ian's blood.
Hey,
so
you know what? But, seriously, that actually wouldn't be too bad. I am maybe I shouldn't seek people after me, but I'm a pretty good donor.
There you go.
I got that rare type.
So you have played this though. And
yes.
So, I mean, this was the. I remember telling you this years ago. This was the Armored Core killer for me.
Yeah,
this did it.
Yeah, man. I mean, the scale of this game is always what struck me. I remember, playing something like this back on PS2 was just awesome. Like, you didn't have anything this monolithic back then.
There's just not games like this. I mean, there's maybe some more now, but this is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is the one that really shook things up, and it was exciting to see something that sort of stretched the boundaries or pushed your imagination about the type of scale you could present, what you could do on screen. I remember there weren't too many other big moments like that for a while. I know there was a lot of hubbub about when I think what was that, like in Kingdom Hearts 2 when you fought like 1,000 enemies at once or whatever, and there was a lot of hype about that, but it wasn't the same level as what you had with Shadow of the Colossus. It was a really cool standout, really unique for its time, and it really didn't follow a current mold. Yeah. Of something else. It was always so cool to find games that stood apart like this, and this was one of them.
Well, and it's been said now as people look on the PS2 era of gaming that Shadow of the Colossus is one of the best games that ever came out for that system, as well as it should be.
Agreed.
I can't say the best because it always depends on your personal preferences, but it should be at the top with others. It is so good. I can't wait, and yet I will be waiting 3 more months. But seriously, you watch the trailers, right? Just especially that first one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
The interesting thing about Shadow of the Colossus is it's one of the few really just grand sprawling games that pulled me into wanting to explore that terrain, wanting to go across the landscape, wanting to be, really drawn in and to just open up the expanse of everything. Now, there's stuff like, I played Skyrim, things like that before, where I don't want to do that as much. Like, if anything, I'm more interested on, I don't have to free roam everywhere. Just kind of guide me along the main path and I'm good. I'm not too set on looking through every nook and cranny, but this is a game that makes you want to.
Right.
So
no. I spent after several times of beating the game and collecting all the in-game items and stuff, and going through the end-game portion of it. I spent hours hunting lizards and getting. I think that was which one was the health? I think and getting and boosting my stats.
Yep.
But I think it was the apples.
There you go.
The apples. The apples would reduce your stats. Yeah, which I don't know why they do that, but I can't wait. Okay, we gotta change the subject because I'll just think about it.
we'll be going on about Shadow of the Colossus all night. If there's one good way to change the subject, I think it's an info minute.
What do you got? Oh wait, I know what you got this week.
This
you
time,
showed me.
I semi-spoiled it for you. There's some times when I'm looking for news or random events that just make me go, huh? Why? I just want to say, if you're looking for some absolutely like out of this world weed, you got your wish.
I can't believe you got that out with a straight face.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
There's a company called Space Weed Bro. No kidding. Go to spaceweedbro.com.
Oh my
With
God.
the whole theme is that their cannabis has literally traveled into outer space. All of their weed takes a trip to zero gravity, guaranteeing an ultra premium product that has reached for the stars. I'm reading off their site. So when you try space weed, you'll experience what few people ever have.
You know what? You showed me what was it, a 90-second clip, something like that.
Yeah.
Of what they're doing, and I'm watching this, and I'm just like, what is the point of this? Why are you doing this? And so that's why, because you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah.
And I probably could have guessed that, but it was so because it's so basic. It's like,
It is.
Did they now? If I remember, didn't they like basically put these things on a balloon and fly them up?
Yeah, pretty much. They there's a YouTube video of this up. It's just if you just look up Space Weed Bro trailer. I love saying that. Wow. You just look into it. They're basically strapping a small box of like cannabis onto balloons, like some cameras to get the full view of things as they go up, and they just deliver them up into space, and well, there you go. I mean, if you've never had zero G can, I don't know what that's supposed to do or exactly.
I was going to say, have people said it smokes different?
Now, I don't have any reviews for this yet about what's the exact difference in quality. Like, what's the rating, or even reading a review about it, to be honest. In fact, hey, you know what? I lied. I just found a review.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote. It's like these are people talking about the dispensary itself. This is a gorgeous dispensary. It feels like you're walking into a day spa. The staff were knowledgeable and professional. The menu was great, and I highly recommend the place. Another review says the staff was extremely helpful, and they had great knowledge. Would recommend to anybody. Not about the weed itself. I don't know. That's all I got. I have no idea what this is supposed to be about or how this actually boosts the product, besides the hype of the fact that you get to smoke weed that's been in space.
So what?
I wouldn't have even picked this up as much if this didn't have two trailers behind it. And the best part, the trailers are really epic. They've got this heart-stopping music, this orchestral trailer, like this great embarking is about to happen. They do have a point. Weed really hasn't been launched into space before because I guess people really didn't see a reason why.
There's no reason to do it. Now I could understand if this weed was sparkled with Asgardian dust or something. That I could understand. Smell, inhale the god.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something like that, but I don't. That's it. That's the gimmick. And and I should have known that from the video. I figured maybe there was more to it. Gave the benefit of the doubt, but that's it. It's been up to. It hasn't actually even been in space because it doesn't leave. Maybe it gets to zero atmosphere, but that's not space.
No, doesn't count.
That's not quite space yet.
Of weird stories, man. I don't know. Like, for me at least, I'm putting this up there with Pizza Bikini. But
what do you say in the video? 30,000 meters, I think he says.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna do some math. I haven't had my space weed, so I can do some math.
If you were, man, who knows what you'd be seeing right now?
Let's do a Google search here. Hold on a second.
Not sure. But yeah, I have zero comparison point to this for for anything else. It's just this is one of those things I mark as just a unique event. I guess you could put this in Guinness Book. I don't know.
So there's 1,609 meters in a mile.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're going pretty high up.
Oh yeah,
they are going pretty high up. Lots of miles. Okay. All right. Whatever.
It almost
tell me anything.
Yeah, it almost makes you want to think like if you're in a thin enough atmosphere, does that change the consistency or any type of texture or any composition? I wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, now from what I saw, this stuff is packaged up. It's like it's wrapped up.
Yeah.
So it's already practically airtight, right?
Pretty much.
Or it's sealed. So
right.
You know, this is the thing. We got tricked, Ian. We got tricked. This is like EA. This company did something and we thought it was important, so now we're thinking about it and we're actually getting a little frustrated with it. When is the point of it was we never should have gave it any thought.
No. Maybe it's that willingness to give too much credit, or to try to find a reasonable explanation. But
yeah, I think an explanation. I think that's it. There is none. Just say it's a gimmick. Let's put it on some helium balloons and send it up and say it went to space. Yeah, they're nowhere near space. Give me one more second. I'm gonna look up one more thing.
No, sure, no problem. But this is one that I even feel odd asking people to comment on. I mean, who would really have a perspective on this to offer? I can't, man.
Now I need to actually get a calculator. Give me one more second.
See, this is the problem. We start delving into this stuff. I mean, what it engenders is you want to actually go and do that research to what would you actually have to hit. You know what? Even if you knew the exact number, I don't think it would make a difference for anything. But oh well.
No, they're nowhere near. They're nowhere near space. I actually did the math. Because it's 62 miles till space, and 30,000 meters. They're short. So everyone who's buying that space weed, you're getting ripped off. Surprise, surprise.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Weed isn't really from space.
The next time we tune back in, here's what I want to see. That would make me want to tune back into this topic. When they're not only trying to send weed really high, when they're firing weed at escape velocity. Now that would be something we're checking out. That's all I got.
All right.
Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of our show, if you want to go check out our Thor Ragnarok reviews, again, that is both spoiler and non-spoiler, that will be here on our channel to tune into. Of course, we'll be keeping track of everything that goes down in terms of gaming news, what's going to be happening in terms of movies. Stay tuned for other reviews that are going to be coming up too. We're approaching the end of the year. It's Here Comes the Hype. So, good deal. Thanks, everybody, and have a good weekend.
See you later.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.